Hey, welcome back. This is Apostolic Praise, Next Level Piano, and in this lesson we're going to be going over a couple of really quick, in-depth things on Pentecostal turnarounds. And one of the most typical Pentecostal song turnarounds that you've typically seen, if you're looking at the study information, is 1 over 5 to 6 to 2 to 5 to 1, which is always followed by the 3, 4, sharp 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 7, 1, or some variation of that. So for example, if we're in the key of F, let's say you have the F over C, 1 over 5, you're going to go to some kind of 6 chord, usually a major, 2 chord major, 3 chord, and then you're going to go back to your 1, which is F, to A, B flat B, C, D, E flat A, F. This is the most basic fast song Pentecostal turnaround, also used a lot in slow songs, at least the first part of it is as well. So let me go over a couple of chords that you can throw in here to kind of make it sound a little smoother, a little jazzier, a little nicer. You probably know some of these, some of them you may not. If you're not familiar with this turnaround, by the way, it'd be wise. I'd probably recommend looking at some other courses or a different course that's a little more of a intermediate or beginner course. Okay, the chords vary in what they can be here. So let's say we start with the F over C. Your 6th chord can be a number of things. It can be a D7. You could make it a D9. You could make it a D7 flat 9. Okay, you could make it a D7 plus 5 or augmented 5th. And you could also make it a D7 with a sharp 5, sharp 9. Or some variation of that. Okay, we'll learn more about these tritones also in this course. Okay, so it'll be one of those 5 chords. You can play any one of them depending on the song, depending on what kind of sound you want. Okay, on the G chord, it also has a couple of different options. You could do a G2. So you do a G2, you could do a G7, you could do a G9. We're going a little fast here, but this is all in the study information. You should be following along with that. You could do a G7 flat 9, B, D, F, A flat. You could also do a G7 sharp 5, okay, or an inversion of that. You could also do a G9 sharp 5, okay, or G9 sharp 5. You should be familiar with these chords already. We're not going to go over them note by note, as this is not one of our beginner or intermediate courses. You could also do a G7 sharp 5 sharp 9. Okay, and just to throw an extra one out there, you could also do a G7 flat 9 sharp 5, which is basically a D flat 9. Okay, we'll do that one. D, E flat, F, G with G in the left hand. Okay, getting ahead of ourselves here. All right, so those are, and there's a number of other chords you could do too, but these are just some other ones. Some we're going to throw in to be able to help you guys out and to be a blessing to you. Another one, just for example, you could do G9 with the added 13. So just the G9, do a G9 and 13, B, E, F, A. Okay, a lot of different options on these chords. Okay, so once again, G2, G7, G9, G7 flat 9, G7 sharp 5, G9 sharp 5, G7 sharp 5 sharp 9, or G7 flat 9 sharp 5. That was a mouthful. All right. So let's go ahead and do the ones for the 5 chord for the C. Once again, the C is pretty much the same. You could do a C2, a C7, a C9, okay, C7 sharp 5, a C9 sharp 5, a C7 sharp 5 sharp 9, or a C11, just a basic one. Okay, there's a lot of stuff you can do here for these fast song Pentecostal turnarounds. So just to give you an idea of some of them, and once again, mix and match here, you know. That's one of my favorite ones that I like to do. I like to do, I don't even know if we gave that one to you on the 6th chord, but it's a D7 with a flat 9 and a sharp 5. Okay, C, E flat, G flat, B flat, over D. That's what it gives you that sound right there. Those are your melody notes. So, or you could do, okay, so There's some chords you can do, just mixing and matching up a couple different options. So if you go to the next page, you'll see a couple of turnaround example songs, and this is where we're going to kind of start getting into some cool stuff. A little bit of advanced stuff here. So your typical turnaround you'll see is like an F over C, as we've talked about, D7, G9, C9, and then ended on an F. Okay, and then of course do some kind of variation of a turnaround right there to start the song over. Another variation of that you could do is F over C, D7 flat 9, G7 flat 9, C9, F. Okay, we're just giving you some examples here. And you can mix and match. You can make them sound however you want. You can do whatever ones you like better. Do them. You'll probably find a couple that you like better than others and do those a lot. Song 3, the example turnaround song is F over C, D7 sharp 5 sharp 9, G7 sharp 5 sharp 9, C7 sharp 5 sharp 9, and then back to F. Okay, song number 4, and this one is going to be a little different here. It's going to be kind of crazy, but let me show you a little trick to remembering how to do that. So you just took this one we just learned, F over C, D7 sharp 5 sharp 9, G7 sharp 5 sharp 9, and C7 sharp 5 sharp 9 to F. And what we're basically going to do now, watch this. Okay, do you hear the difference? Big difference in sound. So, wow, it sounded really jazzy there, really neat sound. What we basically did is we're doing the same chords in the right hand. The D7 sharp 5 sharp 9, G7 sharp 5 sharp 9, and C7 sharp 5 sharp 9. The difference is we're changing the left hand. So we're playing the antithesis, or the opposite, the tritone, in other words, of D, which is A flat. D and A flat are tritones, in other words, that's the sharp 4 of D. Okay, you should know what a tritone is by now. If not, you can look it up online or go to a easier course. So we're playing the same chord of D. We do that a lot in jazz. You use the tritone, change the bass to a different tritone, the corresponding tritone. D and A flat are tritones of each other. So we're going to change the D in the bass note to A flat instead of D. Okay, so F over C. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change the tritone of G. We're going to find the tritone of G, which is D flat. We're going to play the same chord with D flat at the bass. So there's your G7 sharp 5 sharp 9 over D flat. And now we're going to play the tritone of C, okay, because we're doing a C7 sharp 5 sharp 9 normally here. We're going to play G flat, which is the tritone of C. Okay, so we're doing the same chords here. Oops. We're just playing it over different basses. Now if you wanted to get the actual chord, what this is an A flat 9 with an added 13, which we have learned already in our courses. You have a D flat 9 add 13, and then you have a G flat 9 add 13. Okay, if you want to be technical about what they're really called. But just a little trick here. Basically what we're doing is we're changing the tritone, playing the same chord, changing the tritone to the left hand. Alright, so how neat is that? Now you can really mix and match that because you have, let's say we wanted to do F over C, D7 sharp 5 sharp 9, substitute that D flat in, and then do a G flat. Or maybe F over C, D7 sharp 5 sharp 9, D flat, and then C. You see what I'm saying? You can mix them up. In other words, you can use the substitution anywhere here. In other words, if you wanted to, instead of play the D7 sharp 5 sharp 9, substitute the fancy A flat chord, you can do that anywhere where the D would normally go. If you wanted to do the D flat fancy chord instead of the G7 sharp 5 sharp 9, anywhere you would normally play the G, you can play that D flat instead. Basically just changing the bass note, if you want to think about it real simply. Same thing for the C, you can play that fancy G flat 9 add 13, anywhere where you would normally play the C there. So it's really a neat thing to do. We use this a whole lot in jazz. And of course we'll study this more here in the next following lesson as well. If you're not getting it, feel free to watch the video a couple more times or go to video number 2. Alright, so now go ahead and make up a couple of your own, just fill in the blanks in your study information, making up a couple different combos of your own. Maybe you want to do an F over C to A flat to G flat to F, for example. So a lot of stuff you can do there. Alright, so let's try it now in some different keys. If you go to the next page of your study info, you'll see where it has it written in the Roman numerals. I would really recommend learning these 4 or 5 turnarounds that we focused on here, learning those in every single key. So take it, don't just learn in the key of F, but go through and probably the easiest way to do it would be to play all of those chords, which you're probably already familiar with the majority of them, but not necessarily all of them in those locations. So go through and play all of those chords first in the different keys, and then come back through and try them in the turnarounds. Or you can just go ahead and play them in the turnarounds, whichever way you think would be easier for you. Alright, so your turnaround 1 was F over, or 1 over 5, to 6, 7, and we're starting simple here, to 2, 9, to 5, 9. Okay, and then back to the 1, which you already know how to do that. Alright, so now let's take it maybe to the key of C, okay? So 1 over 5, which would be C over G, to your 6, 7, which is A7, to your 2, 9, which is D9, to your 5, 9, which is G9, and then end it back on your 1 chord. Alright, and then go through and do it the next one. Sorry about that. So, alright, I'm going to do the next one. Alright, and do the next one. Or whatever combination you want to use. Alright, so there's all kind of stuff you can do with these. This will give you a ton of new, hopefully a ton of new possibilities, a ton of new ways to play your turnarounds at the end of your songs. So hopefully this lesson is a blessing to you, and if you have any questions, of course, feel free to email me or contact us on the website. Okay, God bless. If there's anything else we can help you with this lesson, let us know, and we'll see you back here for lesson 2.